2017 operating budget. It's 3 minutes after 7. Councillors, declarations of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Seeing none, may I please have a motion to approve the agenda as has been amended? Councillor Maracas, Councillor Kim, any comments or questions? All in favor? Opposed? That's carried. We'll start with our delegations. We have two delegations this evening. First, we have Ms. Clement, the Chair of the Board of Directors of the Aurora Community Arboretum. And Ms. Clement, if you could ask you to introduce yourself, and you have 5 minutes.
Okay. My name is Irene Clement. I'm the Chair of the Aurora Community Arboretum. And I want to thank you for taking the opportunity to listen to me tonight. And I will try to keep it brief. Okay, I want to talk about the 2016 achievements first. This year, as always, we've planted a lot of, did a lot of planting. Our community planting, we put in over 700 trees and shrubs within about 2 hours. We had a good turnout by the public. Program planting is what we do elsewhere in the Arboretum over the summer, and we had almost 1,000 trees and shrubs being put in. Quite a large percentage of that was in our restoration of the pine plantation that I'll speak about a bit more. And we also put in 1,000 extra daffodil bulbs in our Field of Gold area, so we're now at about 5,500 bulbs, and it makes quite a nice spring showing. We also did a lot of, like every year, we've done a lot of maintenance with our volunteers. We do a lot of weeding and mulching. This year was particularly dry, so we had to do a lot of watering. And we also cut all of the grass trails that you see within the Arboretum. They're maintained by the volunteers, and also all the trimming around the commemorative trees. It's not only physical labor, though, that we do in the Arboretum. We also do signage. We put in 3 new educational signs. You'll see a couple of them on the slide. We've got 2 more that are still in development. We've done newsletters. We're working on a database. All of our commemorative trees are located by GPS, and most of the trees that are available for commemoration we're also getting located by GPS. And we're in the process of moving a lot of the data we've accumulated over the last 10 years into a new database. So that's an ongoing thing that we spend time on. We're also involved with the spring cleanup that the town runs, and we had several public meetings. We have our annual general meeting at the end of March every year, and we're also in the Arboretum for a Canada Day on July 1st. Couple of things that we did new this year. We had our first tree appreciation tour that was run in September. The top picture there, you'll see we had quite a large turnout. We took 10 specimen trees, and we had various experts or enthusiasts talk about them. We made lots of connections with other groups out of Toronto, some arborists, some conservation people. It was very good. I think a lot of people enjoyed it, and we hope to have that again. We also did a bird walk in October. It was a cold and rainy day, and we still managed to see 18 different species. We were involved in shoreline cleanup. We had a great turnout by the public for that. And we also initiated work on the bur oak behind Ball Diamond 1, which is going to turn into a significant signpost for the Arboretum and for the community. There's a couple of things in 2016 I wanted to emphasize. One is we had a contract with a group called Green LEF, that's the Learning Enrichment Foundation, which is a nonprofit social enterprise. It's sponsored by the province, by the City of Toronto, and by Ontario Parks. And it's the Green LEF is the landscape training business, and they certify disadvantaged or unemployed individuals and train them in the landscaping field. They're led by a certified arborist. They've done a lot of pruning for us and a lot of other work. It's been a very good situation both for us and for the town, and I think a very good win for the as a training ground as well. So that's been very successful. We've also done a fair bit of work on invasive species control. And the top 2 pictures, you'll see that's the Phragmites area behind the Tim Hortons. It's now has been killed. We still have work to do in that. We're going to plant some willows. And whether we're 100% successful or not, we don't know. It's something we'll have to be vigilant on. One thing I'm hoping is that the town will also start efforts at Phragmites control. It's something that we have to work at a bit at a time. We've done a lot of it within the Arboretum, and we're trying to get that the area within our boundaries controlled. But it is something you have to tackle bit by bit and keep at it. We've also worked at removing buckthorn and dog strangling vine. The bottom pictures there are of buckthorn removal from the pine plantation, which is in the area just behind the town hall here, that many of you have seen. We've had a lot of work done in there just in the last couple of months. And as recently as Friday, we had a group of volunteers in there, and we took out, I think it was about 2,500, almost 3,000 seedlings that were growing along the path. There's still more to do, and we'll have some more work on that next year. So we've obviously done a lot in 2016. We've accomplished a lot, and that's with our volunteers. We couldn't do what we do without our volunteers. I really want to express my appreciation, and on behalf of the board, for all of the volunteers who come and work. This year we had a high number of hours, 3,200, just over 3,200, which is a significant contribution to the town when you look at that. That's the equivalent of about 1.7 FTEs over a whole year, or 3 people hired for 6 months. I think when you look at the monetary value of that, it's a very significant contribution to the town and to the Arboretum. So my thanks again to all of our volunteers. So what are our plans for 2017? Well, one of the big things on our agenda is to renew the partnership agreement with the town. The current 10-year program runs until the end of 2017. So we will be coming back to you in the first half of next year with a detailed plan and a budget for the next 10-year partnership. In the meantime, though, we'll keep on planting within our specimen area, within the forests. We hope to have our first annual Spring Blossom Festival in Flora, Aurora this spring. And we'll put in additional signs and continue with educational programs. So what's our budget for doing this? We originally had thought about $100,000, as that was what we should be getting every year. We've come down to $85,000. You can see there's, of course, money for getting trees and shrubs to plant. There's quite a chunk on maintenance now because we have put a lot in, so of course you have to look after all of that. We have to establish our own nursery within the Arboretum because the area we're currently using will not be available to us in future. And of course we have things like signage and equipment and more work in the pine plantation. So that's the budget in a nutshell that we're planning for 2017. And I'll just end with a few comments on what we plan to do for the future. Well, assuming that the partnership agreement is in place with the town for the next 10 years, we would continue to plant as we have been. We'll continue with ongoing maintenance. We'll run an annual Spring Blossom Festival, continue to put in educational signs and programs, and generally just continue to grow Aurora's urban oasis. And I think that's what the town, it's a great thing for the town and for all of the surrounding area. So I'll just end on, I'd like to express my thanks to Jim Tree and Sarah Tienkamp in the Parks Department and their staff for all of the help and work they do with us. It's been great. And I'd like to thank obviously Al Downey as well as head of Parks and Recreation, and for your support for the last 10 years. And I think that's what I'll end on. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Clement. Motion, first of all, to receive. Councillors Tom and Humphreys. Any questions for Ms. Clement, please, with respect to her presentation? Councillor Humphreys.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you so much for coming this evening and for us. And I just want to express my thanks and gratitude to the organization, because our town benefits so much from the work that you do and continue to do. And just seeing the changes over the last, for me, 10 years, 7, 8, almost 10 years, has been incredible. It just keeps getting better and more beautiful, and it just makes us a cut above, I'm telling you. And one of the things I really am very excited about is the annual spring blossom event. And just for really quickly, is there going to be focused areas for that, or how do you envision that if it comes to fruition?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we're still in the planning stages for that. It will be focused in Flora Aurora, the area just by the leisure complex there. We're not quite sure the shape it's going to take, and we're hoping, of course, that the spring weather and winter will be such that we'll have a good show of blossoms and whatnot, but that's still to take shape. We don't have a detailed plan at this point.
No, that's perfect. Thank you. And I know we're well on our way, because I just thought that we're already doing that this past summer. Spring was fantastic. And I really appreciate your work on the Phragmites. Yeah, that seems to be a sort of a really huge, I don't know if it's a worldwide concern or a Canadian concern only. And you're doing your own bit to try to control that? Just a quick question on that.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. It's the Phragmites is certainly across Canada and great parts of the U.S. as well. It's an invasive weed it's a European weed from Europe. Very invasive. It gets into our wetlands, and it's really a problem in Ontario and other parts of the country. But I mean, it's just taking over the wetlands, and it means that red-winged blackbirds can't nest in it. Our frogs and turtles have no place to go. So it ends up with a sterile area. You have these 10 and 12 feet high reeds, but nothing can live in it. And if we let it go, if we don't try to do something, that's all we'll have. We'll have no cattails, we'll have no red-winged blackbirds around any of the ponds. So we'll really have a less diverse area, if you like. So I think it's something that we need a concerted effort. We can do something within our small area, and we're doing bits, but we really need the town and the region and the province to get on board, because it's all over, and it's a huge channel.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. We do need to do our bit for sure. I'm sure through our budget discussions we'll be planning for that as well. But thank you very much.
Okay.
Councillor Thompson, Councillor Tom. Councillor Gardner.
Thank you, Irene, for coming. Certainly, everybody's done incredible work over the past 9 years, entering 10 now. Mm-hmm. You mentioned that one of the objectives is to enter into a new 10-year partnership agreement with the town. Do you see it proceeding on similar terms, or are there any sort of new ideas or initiatives that the Arboretum will be asking of the town in that partnership agreement?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we're in the midst of drawing up amending our master plan. We have a master plan up to this point, and I will be reporting on that next spring about our progress against that master plan, and then looking forward to what the revised plan will look like. At this point, I think it's premature to say if there's anything really new over what we've been doing. We'll obviously do more of. There's various programs we'll want to bring into play, but I think I have to sort of defer until we've had time to sort of figure out exactly which way. I mean, obviously we'll go along the same path, but I'm not sure beyond that at this point.
That's fine. I was just hoping for maybe a sneak peek or something.
Yeah.
But
well, more of same, certainly.
Well, certainly, we certainly look forward to seeing the revised master plan and look forward to continuing the relationship.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Gardner.
Thank you very much, and to all the green shirts and all the other volunteers in the audience. Irene, with respect to the Phragmites, can we win that battle? Or what can we do to try and ensure that we can control it?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. It's a good question. I think we certainly can't win it unless there is a concerted effort at the provincial level, probably. There was a letter that went to the Premier last spring, I believe it was, about that there needs to be some chemical means to fight some of the bigger infestations. I think smaller ones, what we're taking on in the Arboretum is some of the smaller ones where we can cut and control those. If you let it get too big, and if it's right on water, then it is a huge problem. So I think it's not anything one group can do alone, and but the sooner we get at it and trying to get some measure of control, then at least we can try to contain it or control it, but I don't know that we'll ever eradicate it.
Thank you. And there are other invasive species. Is it the Phragmites that's the most troublesome to the Arboretum?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The Phragmites probably is one of our bigger challenges. We've got a couple of big areas like the one we did already at the Tim Hortons. There's another one in the native area right across the road from the town hall here, and then one up by the river and towards the north. Those ones are difficult. So, but it's the big one. The buckthorn, we continually remove it, as I said, in the pine plantation, and we can sort of keep it more under control, although you'll never get rid of it either. Dog strangling vine is another one we've been working at, and again, that thing is you've got to get at it and try to stop it from spreading, and then you can work on getting dog strangling vine you can actually get rid of, but it takes persistence. Those are the three that we're working on most in the Arboretum.
Thank you, and thank you for being able to put the volunteer hours, the number actually before us. It's a lot of hours.
Yeah, the volunteers really are appreciated.
They're really great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Clement. I'm just wondering if you could perhaps forward your presentation to members of council. We don't have it in our package, and I think we might find it.
I did forward it, yeah. Yeah, okay. No, I did send it in.
Linda, do you have a copy? Okay, if you could send it to us, I'd appreciate that. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Sorry, I didn't
Thank you.
realize that.
All in favor of receipt, please? Contrary? That's carried. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Our next delegation is Javed Khan from the Aurora Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Khan, if you could introduce yourself, and you have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you. Mayor Daw, members of council, staff, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Javed S. Khan. I'm the president of a Aurora-based company called Impression Marketing Services Company and the current chair of the Aurora Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present a delegation to you on behalf of the Aurora Chamber of Commerce. The Aurora Chamber of Commerce is a politically independent, membership-based, volunteer-driven, non-for-profit organization whose mission is to lead and serve the Aurora business community. Our goal is to build, drive, and positively influence Aurora's economic landscape. Not only does our chamber act as an advocate for the entire 1,400 plus businesses in our community, we facilitate opportunities for businesses to promote themselves locally and regionally, do business with one another, enjoy savings and value through benefit programs, and gain knowledge through dozens of events and seminars each year. Through the course of each year, the Chamber hosts a variety of events ranging from breakfast meetings, business after fives, to our signature events such as the annual golf tournament, Aurora Chamber Home Show, and the Aurora Chamber Street Festival. We also provide engaging business events, which include the annual Mayor's Luncheon and the opportunity to discuss advocacy issues with our local MPs and MPPs. I'm excited to share with you tonight, 3 significant events we're announcing that have the opportunity to showcase the collaborative relationship we've restarted with the town of Aurora. Ladies and gentlemen, in council, the ask is very simple. The Aurora Chamber of Commerce is requesting of council to consider including specific sponsorship funds in support of the following events. First, I'm very excited and pleased to announce that after a 5-year hiatus, the Aurora Chamber of Commerce is reintroducing the Business Excellence Awards Gala. This event will celebrate the successes of local businesses and shine a spotlight on the achievements of Aurora business people, not only on the night of the gala, but also before and after the event through various communication channels, both traditional, digital, and in person. These awards were last held in 2012, at which time the town of Aurora was a key sponsor of the event. Your partnership in 2017 will help the Aurora Chamber of Commerce demonstrate that businesses are in good company in our community. In terms of funding, we are requesting $10,000 in support of the Business Excellence Awards, which will be held on November the 16th, 2017. Second, I'm pleased to announce a new annual event we're planning to launch in 2017. We're calling it the Aurora Business Women's Summit. This event is focused on meeting the needs of women entrepreneurs, professionals, and business owners in Aurora. The mission of the summit is to address the concerns of local business women in a one-day conference featuring keynote speakers and breakout sessions focused on pertinent topics for women in business. A roundtable discussion with women from the local business community will be held in the spring of 2017 to determine the most sought after and relevant content. Sponsorship from the town of Aurora would help offset costs, enabling us to reach more small and medium-sized businesswomen, which would reflect positively on our community as being businesswomen friendly. The end target is to reach approximately 300 participants, providing tools to help Aurora businesswomen thrive. In terms of funding, we are requesting $2,500 of support from the town of Aurora to help facilitate the launch of the event. And thirdly, the Aurora Chamber of Commerce held its inaugural Tech Expo during BDC Small Business Week in October of this year and received overwhelming feedback. Given the incredible positive response from both exhibitors and attendees, we plan to make it an annual signature event for the community. This event not only showcased the growing number of local technology providers and their services, but was also successful in connecting local business people with solutions they require to succeed in current business climate. We are seeking a $2,500 injection of funds from the town of Aurora to help the Aurora Chamber of Commerce build upon the success of the inaugural event and make it bigger and better in its second year. Our goal is to reach approximately 300 attendees in 2017 and showcase a larger variety of vendors. Through the celebration of inspiring business success stories, empowering women to achieve more in business, and showcasing the latest and greatest business technology solutions, the Aurora Chamber of Commerce intends to provide members of the local business community with a variety of opportunities to increase their success. An agreement to provide a total funding of $15,000 would support the development of these events, each being unique to the Aurora community, expected to draw a significant number of attendees and an excellent platform to highlight Aurora not only as a business-friendly community, but also as an exceptional place to do business in York Region. As the town of Aurora and the Aurora Chamber of Commerce share the common goal of a prosperous business community, the opportunity to continue our close collaboration is a natural choice. Thank you very much for your consideration of this proposal.
Well done. Thank you very much, Javid. May I please have a motion? I would suggest we should to receive and refer to the options section of the budget. If someone will put that on the floor, Councillors Thompson and Maracas. Comments or questions for Councillor Gartner, Councillor Abel, Councillor Humphreys?
Thank you very much. There's 3 events. Will they be held in Aurora?
Absolutely.
And where, well, absolutely, that's great. And where would you find to hold the Business Excellence Awards?
So we have started actually it's been expedited very, very nicely with the Royal Canadian Legion. So we are going to be holding our Awards Excellence Gala at the Royal Canadian Legion. It's a natural fit and natural partnership between the Aurora Chamber of Commerce and the Royal Canadian Legion.
Thank you so much. It's been one of my, well, I was going to say pet peeves, but I think it's more than that the Aurora Chamber of Commerce would be holding its events outside of Aurora. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Abel, Humphreys, Thompson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and Javid, thank you very much. We value the contributions of the Chamber. You've led the way. I mean, some of the street festivals as a landmark signature event that we have in our town. Mm-hmm. And I know we do partner and help in that, but you do take the lead. It sustains itself. It's brilliant. And I did attend the Tech Expo. I really appreciate, I wasn't going to ask, but I'm so glad that Councillor Gartner did ask about the venues, because I had talked to you and you had said you were going to utilize the Legion. It seems a natural, and I think the Legion has really taken steps forward to showcase that venue as a possible place to hold conferences and events. In fact, our staff Christmas party is there every year, as it is this year. And I wanted to thank you very much for the value that you bring to our Economic Advisory Committee. The Chamber's always been there. And I'm just so pleased to hear that you're going to have the Business Achievement Awards recognitions, because it was a great event, as I remember, well attended, a great celebration, and we have to start moving towards partnering and getting into that economic development. We are now passing a new office for economic development here within the town, so it's very exciting what you bring to council this evening, and I think it's going to be just great as we move forward. Some great opportunities, so thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments.
Councillor Humphreys, Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. I think so. Dear Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for coming this evening. Where have you been? You haven't been here since 2012.
Yeah.
No, we're glad to see you back. I think partnership with the town and the chamber is so critical, and I've personally missed that strong relationship. I know that there's always support around the table, but nice to have you back and working together. Great to hear that you're having the event in Aurora at the Legion.
Yes.
It's an amazing venue, as we
Yes.
all know. So really great, and it sounds like the two events are really excited about the Women's Business Summit. That's really incredible. So just a quick question, just really curious, the time away, was it just to regroup and re-strategize, focus? Just a quick understanding of what happened.
I think through you, Mr. Mayor, it was, we've gone through some, you're absolutely right, some re-strategy. We've refocused, we have brought in a fresh board, we have looked at our strategy for the next 2 to 3 years, we've had to reset in many cases, we've had to go back to basics in others. So it's as I mentioned at one of the annual general meetings, the first one around when I took over as the current chair, it's going to be a very big ship where we need to move to another direction, and we're getting there, one day at a time.
Oh, great, thank you. I know you will, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Javid, for coming out. You know, last term as chair of the Economic Development Committee, I was fortunate enough to attend I think it was the Achievement Awards then, but I think it's great that they're back, and especially at the Legion. So I look forward to seeing them this year, or 2017 next year. But my question to you is, you spoke of it all about sponsorship, and I assume that you'll seek other sponsors for all of those events as well. Would you have a sponsorship package or something that speaks to the benefits of sponsoring these events that could be provided to members of council, just so when we're talking about the dollars, we can also look at the benefits that the town gets of sponsoring it as well, in terms of, I know sometimes it's gold, silver, platinum sponsorship packages, logos, and so forth. Is it possible to provide us with that kind of information?
Yeah, absolutely. Through you, Mr. Mayor, that's part of the resets that we have been doing, is looking at our sponsorship programs, looking at the value that we are asking of local businesses with regards to sponsorship, because previously it was just an ask of money, but there was really no value prop behind it. So we definitely will ensure that we will get you the appropriate sponsorship package that you require.
Great, thanks very much. I'm sure it'll be, we'll discuss it when we get to the options page.
Yep, you're welcome.
Councillor Kim, Councillor Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Khan, for presenting. And I think we all recognize that the Aurora Chamber is a valuable partner in our economic development here in Aurora. And we would obviously love to do whatever we can to help the business community grow and thrive here. You mentioned 3 events that needed funding, and some of them are quite obvious what the end goals and objectives are. But given the ask, if you could just go one level deeper and just give me a one-liner with respect to what do you hope to achieve from these events.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, one-liner, awareness. There's your one-liner.
Actually,
You wanted a one-liner.
One-liner for, well, actually one sentence for each.
Oh, one sentence? Oh, okay.
Each of
All right.
those 3 events.
You must be clear, my friend. Through you, Mr. Mayor, absolutely. So let me start with the Business Excellence Awards. The why, the reason why is it's long overdue. There is absolutely no reason. When I took over the chair, we were, of the 9 chambers in this region, we're the only chamber that was not celebrating business. To me, got to the point of a level of ridiculousness, and we looked at why, and why has it been so long, and we just realized that it's time. We had to bring it back. There was no choice. The next one, in terms of the Aurora Business Summit, we have 3 very, very eager young business women on our board who met with me, and they chit-chatted about this summit. It's never been in York Region, so this is the one sentence for me there, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Kim, is it's leadership. It's an opportunity to be a leader in York Region in terms of the chamber and bring business women from not only the town of Aurora, but we're hoping over time it will become a signature event for York Region. And the third one, in terms of the Tech Expo, that was just, I think we found that we anticipated 100, 150 attendees. We had over 250 attendees come through, including members from the general community who were very, very appreciative of us putting together an event, an experience where they had the opportunity, all under one roof, to ask technology experts about specific business applications, hardware, software. So we determined that, again, another opportunity for us to take a leadership role of why we should continue doing this. And it's not been done amongst the 9 chambers. No other 9 chambers do this, this level of a tech expo that we are visioning that we want to do moving forward. You're welcome.
Councillor Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thanks, Javid, for coming out, and thanks to the Chamber of Commerce for everything you guys do in the town. Certainly much appreciated on this side of the table. Councillor Thompson actually got to the crux of my question, which was with respect to the kind of value we'd get out of partnering with you and sponsoring these events. Mm-hmm. But just wanted to ask, what's the sponsorship level been like? I mean, what's been the reception in the business community, and what kind of dollars have you gotten so far? I mean, will this be bedrock funding from the town, or is this sort of the funding that's going to get you guys over the line to make these events a success?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, no, our Tech Expo, we generated over $30,000 of sponsorship, including our friends from Lenovo to IBM to Microsoft. So those are like the 3 big ones. I think one of the challenges that I realize and I recognize very quickly that sponsorship dollars, when we go out to the street, and I do this as a profession in our marketing company, we deal with organizations asking millions of dollars to help sponsor a specific sports team. We work for a very high-level sports team in the United States, and I realized when I looked at our sponsorship package, it wasn't offering that value. And absolutely, I think it's just, as I mentioned in my address, it's a natural fit in terms of bedrock sponsorship that Aurora Chamber of Commerce, Town of Aurora are literally side by side. My vision of the sponsorship dollars without hesitation would have the Town of Aurora being very, very in the forefront of those 3 events. I think it's very, very important that we find and we showcase to the community, both our business community and our non-business community, of the collaborative partnership we have. I have friends across pretty much 57 plus chambers that I've known, and I look to my friend in London, I look to my friend in Kingston, look to my friend up in Timmins who have very strong, my friend in Sudbury who have very strong collaborative relationships with the towns and the municipality. And I made it clear to the board from day one that is one of our fundamental points in our strategy conversation, is to be very collaborative with the town. And so is it bedrock funding? Absolutely. Is it going to be more than just dollars? Absolutely. There is going to be an opportunity for not only the Aurora Chamber of Commerce, but for the town to showcase that really this is a business-friendly community. Because to be a little open with you tonight, there are members of our community who don't believe that and don't feel that. And so we're trying to turn that ship to really showcase that it is a business-friendly community, and I'm the number one advocate of that. Every time someone knocks on my door, I'm the first one to say, no, that's really not the fact. Here are the facts, and try to connect them.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and look forward to seeing some more information moving forward. And I think the business community is well served by your enthusiasm, and I think we have a pretty vibrant Chamber of Commerce serving the business community in town. So
Great.
Thanks very much.
Thank you. Thanks for the time.
Councillor Marcus.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Javid, thank you for coming.
You're
The one that really stands out for me is bringing back the Excellent Achievement Awards. I think it's great to promote the businesses within the town, to show them off in essence, and kind of show the town what we do have here. And to me, I think that the benefit that I see to the town itself is that we say that we like to have business here, and we like to tell everyone how great the businesses are within the town. And so I think it's excellent that that's coming back and that it's being held within the town municipal borders, which is great. But I am going to throw out, I guess, a tough question when it comes to money-wise, because, I have to. So in previous years, the Excellent Awards were $8,500, and I'm just wondering why the ask just didn't come back for that $8,500 and why you guys have bumped it up to $10,000. Maybe you can explain why that.
One word: inflation.
Pardon?
Inflation. One word.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
And there's certainly, in seriousness, I looked at in detail what the town of Aurora was providing us back in 2012, and times have changed 5 years, so there are other opportunities to promote using digital technology, video, so there's other elements. And we're going to be switching up the awards gala a little bit even further, where we're going to be introducing and taking away and introducing new categories. So we, as with the town of Aurora, are very collaborative in terms of our strategy. We are also becoming quite collaborative with our sport and recreation community. So we're going to be introducing some level of awards in terms of sport business and recognizing businesses who have been very, very supportive of the sporting community. So I think I looked at the numbers, and the first thing I saw was, well, it's 5-year difference. Things have changed. There's technology that's been introduced, other ways that we could leverage the awards excellence. We've talked to our Legion comrades, and they're going to help us quite a bit, and there's some budget there involved also. So it just seemed, did a quick, simple math, seemed that from 8,500 to 10 would be reasonable.
And that's great. And as I said, it's great that we're going to be celebrating those businesses. And like I said, I think it's also going to be make it more attractive for businesses to come to Aurora, which is a great benefit for the town of Aurora. So
Absolutely.
thank you for all your
You're
work.
very welcome. Thank you.
Thanks, Javid. Having been in your position, I certainly appreciate your enthusiasm.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, two things. We're back. You're not getting away that easily.
I want one of those green T-shirts. That's what I'm looking for.
Well, Irene, you have a potential volunteer. Green shirt volunteer. That's how it works.
Give me a call.
We've received, and we're going to refer this to our budget in the options section, which we're going to be talking about probably next week, so in a week from now. So
Perfect.
I would suggest if you could maybe do a one-page summary on each one.
Sure.
So it would help us in our discussions.
No problem.
And you answered Councilor Marcus's question on the increase. I like your one-word succinct answers. That's wonderful. But I think if you could give us also a sense, so if we say, we'd love to sponsor the chamber, but at this as opposed to this, what might be your priorities in helping us work that way? So 1, 2, and 3. So I think that might be a help to council as well.
Sure. No problem.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we're done. All in favor? Contrary, that's carried. Thank you very much. And Irene, can you see if you can get Javid a T-shirt in exchange for volunteering? Thank you very much. We now open it up for public consultation. We invite anyone who might have some suggestions for us to come up to the microphone. It's not that difficult. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. If you're bashful about that, you can always send an email. Mr. Elliott, the address is budget 2017? ourtownbudget@aurora.ca. ourtownbudget@aurora.ca. So if something twigs you later on, you want to send an email to that effect, we would certainly appreciate that input. All right, we will go to presentations then. Well, I guess consideration of items. So item 1, which is the 2017 library budget. And if I could ask Jill to come for, is it just you, Jill?
Yes, it is, Your Worship.
Thank you. Time? I'm sorry. Only Jill, how's that?
Well, yes, I should correct myself. I have members of the board and members of staff here as well, but our chair, Rena Roncaden, couldn't come tonight.
Do we need to do anything procedure? Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Jill.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me? Great. So it's my pleasure tonight to present the library's 2017 operating budget. Thank you, Your Worship, and members of council, and senior members of staff. And again, thank you to members of the staff and the board for coming to support me. I should also note that my other fellow presenters tonight, I think we're all here for each other. In fact, we 3 work very well together and closely together, and I think we all try to combine our good wishes for one another in this room on a night like this. So I thank everyone for being here. So who are we and what are we, which may seem like an odd question from someone who runs a public library, but it's always a topic of conversation. Just when I think we've sorted out the fact that the internet didn't kill public libraries, we get another round of discussions about our libraries dying. Is the book dead? I'm here to assure you that none of that is true. We're about tradition, but we're also about new, dynamic, future-oriented activities. And as the world changes, we will change. I don't think libraries will ever go away. But Aurora Public Library particularly is a civic resource that works in collaboration with other organizations to build a healthy and vibrant community. Our reach extends beyond our physical presence. It's experienced through the power of ideas and the equalization of opportunities that cuts through social and economic barriers, making it a place where everyone can find something of value. Aurora Public Library is a place and a space of unlimited possibilities. Aurora Public Library provides the opportunity for all residents to discover, create, and share ideas and information. In 2015, the library completed a facility needs assessment provided by Monteith Brown Planning Consultants, and it was presented to Council in June of that year. The information collected through this assessment set the direction for a strategic refresh of our space and our services so that we could best meet evolving community needs. And the result was our new strategic plan for 2017-2021. And much of what I'm going to say tonight is couched in terms of our strategic plan. So this slide speaks to our mission. Aurora Public Library builds community by sparking connections, enriching lives, and contributing vibrant spaces for discovery. And I might add that we did our strategic plan in-house. It was a bargain. We had members of staff and members of the board contribute to it, and we're very proud of the final result. I hope you will be too. This slide speaks to our vision, what we hope that we will convey and our community of users will understand of what the library is as we move forward. We are essential to the community. Our inclusive and collaborative approach makes Aurora a better place to live. Through innovative technology, engaged staff, and evolving spaces, we transform lives by supporting literacy and cultivating creativity, conversations, and joy. It underpins the spirit and the direction of Aurora Public Library, one that embraces a community-led approach typified by service delivery that is inclusive and consultative. And community-led is really an approach to organizational and community development that rather than we as an institution are doing things for the community, we're doing things with the community. So rather than our typical outreach where we decide what would be a good program and hope that people will respond, we'll go out and speak to community groups, find out what they want, and see how we can provide that within the means that we have to operate. So it's just a slight tweaking of what we've done for years in outreach, but much more collaborative and much more in a listening mode to the community. In the past, the word library was synonymous with books, but the evolution of the public library recognizes a transformation from the passive to the dynamic. We continue to build great collections, but we do so much more. We are responsive to community needs. We do this by being nimble in reading and responding to our environment, anticipating change, and in demographics and in the economic and social drivers that affect each and every resident and business that we serve. A visit to Aurora Public Library will get you thinking about all that the library has to offer, from learning to code, to hands-on making, creative writing, online courses, money management to community panel discussions, from music events to film nights, volunteer opportunities for teens, and early literacy, which of course is our bedrock. Aurora Public Library offers something for everyone. In the midst of our knowledge economy, the library serves as a vital link for every resident of Aurora. A well-used public library is an investment in the future of the community and a driver of success in school preparedness, reading readiness, economic and employment success, personal growth, and social equity. You can see by our year-to-date numbers that are on this slide, and this is to October 31st, both for 2015 and 2016. Those numbers will go up, of course, by the end of the year. But it's clear that there is an upward trend in how the community and how much the community uses us. Our circulation is up almost 5% overall. Our visits are up close to 2%. More than 185,000 people have walked through the door so far this year. Our programs are up. Our e-services use is up. So we're very pleased with the uptake that the community continues to make of our services. Metrics are very important in assessing the library's value to the community, but I would say equally important are the many intangible benefits that significantly impact the quality of life for Aurora residents. Aurora Public Library is the living room of the community, a welcoming public space that is responsive to the diverse needs of our community. In 2016, we were very busy. There's some highlights up there on the slide, but I would like to highlight a few other ones as well. We're very busy with partnerships and collaborations, and those included the Aurora Chamber of Commerce, the Aurora Winter Blues Festival, the Arts Music Store, Canada Revenue Agency, RNC Employment Services, Welcome Immigration Centre, York Region Library Innovation Network, Startup York, the Aurora Museum and Archives, the Aurora Cultural Centre, the Aurora Historical Society, the Farmers Market, Theatre Aurora, and Amnesty International. In 2016, we participated in the Aurora Chamber of Commerce's annual home show, the Chamber's Street Festival, the Multicultural Festival, the Music Festival, Doors Open, Culture Days, and the recent Tech Expo that the Chamber put on. We also had a table there. It was a very successful day for us. So I think basically if there's an event going on in Aurora or in a celebration, you're probably going to find the library there. We find a way to make it meaningful, and we are out there promoting ourselves and what we can do for the community. Our staff visited hundreds of children at child daycare centres in Aurora with our Travelling Tales program. We conducted story times at the Ontario Early Years Centre and the Welcome Immigration Centre. We participated in the Holland View Trail Retirement Community Wellness Fair. We promoted the library at the Go Station twice, very early mornings, and the Aurora Youth Soccer tournaments. And we held Stories Under the Tent at the Farmers Market on a number of Saturdays in the summer. We also expanded our third annual One Book, One Aurora initiatives by partnering with 8 local book clubs. Programming for One Book Aurora included a community panel discussion on the changing face of Canada, a live jazz performance in the library living room, a writing and a photography contest, and a photography exhibit on women in jazz, and a culminating event with author Kim Eklund, accompanied by jazz musician Paul Neufeld in performance, and it was a wonderful afternoon. Sorry, forgot to. Our plan for 2017 and beyond will be built around the 3 strategic directions from our new strategic plan, which are build community, place of possibilities, and organizational capacity. To build community, we will engage in dynamic conversations with the community. We will enhance partnerships and develop new alliances, and we will analyze services and resources and adapt to meet the needs of our diverse demographic. To do that, we will hold frequent focus groups, both in the facility and outside, and within a variety of demographic groups and in areas of the community. We'll conduct regular surveys in the library, outside the library, and online. We'll be providing a mechanism so that the public can have direct input into the development of library collections by making suggestions online. We will compile and maintain a master list of all civic and community groups that serve Aurora residents so we can be sure that we're covering the landscape effectively. And we'll work with community organizations to identify the most effective ways APL can assist them to realize their objectives. So we're doing it a little bit backwards, which is good. For Place of Possibilities, we will expand and refine the library's physical and virtual presence, provide diverse spaces for gathering, sharing, and learning, and develop new paths for personal and professional growth. And we will do this by expanding APL's physical space based on the recommendations from the 2015 Facility Needs Assessment. We will install computer monitors throughout the library to promote programs, activities, news, and events. We will optimize community creativity by actively supporting meetups and other non-traditional uses for our space, and deliver learning opportunities and coaching to assist in the development of technological skills for the whole community. Organizational capacity will create a culture where ideas and innovation are valued and encouraged. We'll establish best practices for planning and evaluating library services, and revitalize the library's organizational structure to best deliver our strategic plan. And we'll do that by researching and establishing the best practices so that we can implement an effective community-led service model. We'll develop online resources to assist in staff training, skills updates, and self-directed learning. We'll devise feedback mechanisms to gauge satisfaction with programs, events, and our training opportunities. And we will review staff roles to support a more dynamic, nimble, and modern service delivery. And we'll finally invest time and resources in technological training for all staff in order to position APL as a community hub for technology. So on to the main event, our budget for 2017. Our development process for the budget follows the same pattern as we've done for many years. Our executive leadership team meets and we compare departmental budgets and develop a draft that we can work from, which then goes to our administrative staff. We receive advice from financial services as to what our range is, then goes to the library board for approval, which was done at our October meeting. So what I'm presenting to you tonight was approved in October, and then that brings us to tonight. Our budget framework for 2017 was to adhere to the funding stipulations received from the Finance Advisory Committee and the Financial Services Department, while at the same time striving to enhance the quality and range of our services. We don't want to remain static. We want to be able to do more and better for the community. And that's our goal. Our budget highlights within the funding envelope that was provided to us. We are presenting a balanced budget that maintains 2016 service levels. Personnel costs include salaries and benefits, of course, and they consume the highest proportion of our operating budget at 79%. So it's a major part of our budget. To meet our obligations next year, our personnel costs will rise by 3.19%. Other expenditures include all the content that we purchase for the library, including books, magazines, audiovisual materials, subscription databases, digital content such as e-books, e-audio, streaming video, streaming music, and that consumes about 5% of our budget, while technology and software and general supplies and services consume an additional 16%. So other expenditures will require a 1.84% increase. Our contribution to capital remains the same. The library's total expenditures for 2017 are projected to equal $3,886,000, with projected revenue in 2017 of $118,300. The municipal requisition approved by the board for submission to council tonight is the stipulated amount of $3,767,700. So we did face some pressures as we were developing our budget to meet the guidelines provided. Salaries and benefits will increase due to pressures that include step rate progression for eligible staff and also a salary grid adjustment that is pending this year. Our other expenditures for collections and operating costs have increased to accommodate business increases in materials, contracts, and services, as well as a U.S. exchange rate that continues to negatively impact our purchasing power. Much of what we purchase is sourced from the States, publishing materials. Our primary source of revenue generation is from fines and lost and damaged fees. These revenues have plateaued with increasing e-book circulation where there are no fines ever, emailing courtesy notices for items due, and the ability to renew items online. Any opportunity to earn revenue is limited by the Public Libraries Act, but we do charge fees and services wherever we are able to. So the library's share of assessment growth was set by financial services at 4.1%. Based on direction from the Finance Advisory Committee, the library's assessment growth was approved at 2.97% and resulting in a municipal requisition for 2017 of $3,767,700. Beyond the metrics, some of the most important aspects of the library's impact on our community cannot be measured. And if you indulge me, I will just read this note that came from a young member of the library. I would like to take this as an opportunity to thank you for your informative pamphlet on LGBTQ and the literature located in the young adult novels section. As someone who is still discovering myself and my identity, it means the world to see this community acknowledged and be given resources on the topic that have helped me to feel more at ease with who I am. I think we all consider that kind of a feedback a success story. Every dollar that you invest in the library returns a benefit to the social and economic lives of the residents of Aurora. Now more than ever before, public libraries play a critical role in the social, educational, cultural, and economic success of our communities. But what does this actually mean for residents of Aurora? This summer, 755 children read 3,900 books through our TD Summer Reading Club. 68% of those surveyed said their children read more because of the library offering the program. And it's a nice statistic, but it's actually very meaningful because teachers will tell us that children who continue to read over the summer integrate into the next grade level much more easily, and they have a head start on those who haven't. So we take this role very seriously in the summer. We have fun, but it's serious. 203 certificates were issued to library users who successfully completed online courses made available through our digital content. We offered 2 successful Entrepreneurs in Residence events in collaboration with Startup York and the Aurora Chamber of Commerce. And these were very successful evenings where anyone who's either thinking of starting a business or in the midst of starting a business can gather, get some inspiration from people who have done it well, and contacts, networking. They were very well attended, and we're going to be continuing those. We have begun a monthly Spanish business meetup, which is surprisingly well attended, a bi-weekly newcomer women's meetup, and we continue to host weekly English as a second language conversation classes, which is becoming more and more important as our newcomer population in Aurora is growing. We provide a visiting library service that brings library materials to the homebound, and we forge stronger links to our local schools from kindergarten through to grade 12, including regular in-library visits for students with special needs from Dr. G.W. Williams Secondary School. The support for our library has never been as important as in this age of digital evolution and changing demographics. With the ongoing support of Council, APL is committed to continuing to be one of Aurora's key community destinations, offering residents of all ages a variety of interactive spaces, innovative technology, diverse collections, and stimulating programs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jill.
I could go on.
Didn't want to be presumptuous again.
No.
Thank you very much. Council, first of all, Linda, if you could put up the recommendation, please. Thank you. Someone put that on the floor. Councillor Humphreys, Councillor Maracas. Questions, comments for Madam Chief Librarian? What is that your title, Chief Librarian? Do they still have that?
No, mostly it's CEO.
Got it.
Chief Librarian is sort of, it's kind of went the way of the card catalog, I think.
Councillors Abel, Maracas, Humphreys, Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So are we now going to address this item? This is a budget item? Well, first of all, I want to thank you very much. I really have a great appreciation for what our library has been doing for the last few years. There are some that will still remain, that a library should be very quiet and for studious and for that, but we have to be innovative and creative in how we're going to reach and stimulate and inspire, and I really like the approach. I know everyone's going to say the same, so I'll be brief, but your staff is excellent. The one that I really liked, and it sort of says what you're all about, is you were talking about a TED Talk, and I had mentioned at the town park where you were, and you were talking about an event, and I said, you should do it with young entrepreneurs here in Aurora. And lo and behold, you had done that in months. And the picture of Chris Howe is a perfect example of a young man that is just going places and wants to do it here in Aurora. So congratulations to all of you. You did a great job on your budget coming in under the guidelines. I really like the approach that our advisory committee had done to bring and give you a target so that you could come in and meet it, and I'm in full support. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Abel. Councillor Maracas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Jill. Jill, thank you for coming and for the presentation. The one thing that stood out to me is the 2% increase on the in-house visits, like people showing up to the library. And I'm wondering, has it been identified what caused that 2% increase? Is it due to awareness? Is it due to promotions through advertising? Has the board looked at that specifically to see where that increase came from?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we haven't looked at it specifically. I think we don't advertise per se. We don't spend money on advertising. But we're out in the community and we're talking about the library and promoting the library. I think it has in good part to do with the fact that we are diversifying in our services, and so we're reaching a broader category of people. And I do notice when we have the noisy events in the library, in the living room, that I see faces that are not familiar to me. So I think we are tapping into a segment of the community that perhaps has never been in the library before. So I think that pretty much amounts for that increase.
Thank you. And through you, as a follow-up, Mr. Chair, speaking of those noisy events or the non-traditional library events, I'm just wondering, has there been any feedback? Have they been well received by all people that show up to the library? Or is it a bit of a mixed reaction to that?
It's a mixed reaction, but I think the predominant reaction is positive.
Okay.
But it's a change and takes time for people to adjust to a change. And because we're on the inside and we know we're changing all the time, to us it's just a matter of course, but it will take some people longer. But we're trying to really emphasize the things that we've always done well and that people appreciate, the personal touch. Our staff are so wonderful with knowing patrons who come in and engaging them in conversation, and so we still do all those great traditional things, but we can't stay the same way we've always been, or we're going to lose a lot of people.
Thank you, Jill. And actually, just one more, Mr. Chair, through you. Speaking of traditional and maybe going back, the one thing I actually, and I know I've mentioned this before, that I would love to see come back somehow is those mobile libraries. You know, in the old trucks that used to show up to the schools, and the kids would go in. And I just think that's a great way to get the kids signed up, getting a library card, and getting engaged in possibly having future users. And so maybe the board could look at that someday and kind of have discussions on that. That would be great to see at some time. So thank you very much for the presentation, and thank you for all the work that the board and everyone does.
I can tell you that we are looking at a mobile option for the library, bicycles. We think we can blanket the parks with bicycles, with books. It's still very early stages, but that's where we're headed.
Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Jill, for coming. For someone who had the good fortune to sit on the library for 8 years, it's great to see that the growth continues in terms of circulation, in-person visits. And to Councillor Maracas' question, when I was on the board, we called that the Charles Levine Bookmobile.
Yes, exactly.
For those of board members, they'll get that joke. But my question for you really is on the slide that says place of possibilities. You talk about expanding and refining the library's physical and virtual presence. There has been talk over the last couple of years about the library utilizing the Magna and Lebovic rooms. Is that still the board's desire to take over those rooms and use them for expanded programming and space options?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, it absolutely is. We have been in discussions with town staff for some months to try and come to an agreeable decision on how those rooms might be allocated. We're not there yet, but we are definitely still working on it.
Councillor Humphreys.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And thank you so much for coming tonight. It's always so good to see you, and great work. Talk about amazing results. I mean, everything has gone up in terms of visits and programming and circulation. So great, and I know that you know you're doing a great. You and the board are doing a great job, and staff, in terms of keeping the evolution of change in the library, and like you said, changing, and you're moving forward and continuing to move forward, which is keeping the library so much more relevant than ever before, which is really exciting, and I love it. Just have two questions. One of them is the budget that we've suggested and you followed perfectly, which I really thank you for. It's not easy. Will you be able to accomplish your goals in 2017 with the budget that we've structured? Do you feel that you're supportive enough? I mean, it might be a tough question. I mean, we've given you this challenge, but do you feel that the board and the library is set up for success?
Yes, I do. I think with the increase that we were allowed, we were able to craft a budget that I have great confidence that we'll be able to do all the things that we want to do this year. So I do appreciate that right off the bat. It's given us enough leeway that we can be creative and still maintain the services that people have come to expect. So,
Fantastic. Well, that's great news. I'm happy to hear that. And I think a couple of my other questions were answered. Just want to make sure. Oh, you know what? That's it for me. Thank you very, very much. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Humphreys. Councillor Tom, then Councillor Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thanks, Jill, for coming out. And like everyone else has said, library does great work in the town, and certainly a library we're all proud of. I'm just looking at the budget pressure slide, 2017 budget pressure slide. It looks like the bulk of your budget pressures are going to be personnel costs. Mm-hmm. And so one thing that, I might have missed it in your presentation, but one of the things that I would just like you to expand a little bit more on is the annualization of the outreach position, and just give us a bit more information as to what that position entails and what benefit it brings to the library.
So last year at this time, we asked and received a new position at the library, a coordinator of community-led initiatives. And that dovetails with our plans to become a more actively community-led library. So that position, we budgeted for April 1st for this year, but we didn't fill it until, I think, August 1st. So next year, it's a full year. So that salary is annualized and will be included henceforth as a full year's salary. And the position, it's really to help us take that next step to become more responsive and more in tune to the community. So the young woman we've hired is, she's out and about every day. We hardly see her in the library. She's at grocery stores, she's at mosques, she goes to yoga groups, she's all over the place. She started our Spanish meetup, our newcomer women's meetup. She's very, lots of great ideas and no short of energy, so we're hoping that we'll particularly be targeting the newcomers in Aurora, and that will be one of her major focuses for her work.
Thank you very much, and I mean, it sounds like you believe it's a very valuable position, and I just appreciate the extra information. Thank you.
Councillor Kim.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Jill, for presenting, and myself being on the library board. I certainly understand and appreciate the value that the library brings to the community. You know, several years ago, I thought it was just a place where you can go to study and rent out some free movies, DVDs, but it's much more than that. It's certainly one thing I've learned is that it is the socioeconomic equalizer. You know, we take it for granted that we all have computers or access to the internet and have usage of data and so forth, but the library is that great equalizer, and that, along with many other reasons, it's very valuable. And certainly, I never questioned the existence or the value of the library. Like any other organization, I try to put an eye on trying to deliver the services with the best bang for the buck, and I see a lot of that going on in the library, so I'm very happy to see that. So through you, Mr. Mayor, to Jill, So as you mentioned, we recently updated our strategic plan, and it was done internally and very cost-effective with a lot of, we leveraged the resources, the brain capacities of our board members. And so for the rest of us, can you give us a short summary of what has changed in our strategic summary, a recent one and the one prior to that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. It's the focus on community-led. That was really the driver of the new strategic plan. Because it's a fairly new model, and it's certainly new for us, it requires some staff engagement, and so we did a staff development day, and we talked a lot about what the library meant to the community, what we were doing well, what we could do better. And so this new strategic plan is really more, in many ways, more outward and interactive than the old one. The old one was great, and it stood us in very good stead for the life of it. It's really a subtle difference. It's really more of it's just a perception of looking outward and wanting to be sure that we're meeting the need that actually exists and not the need that we think exists. And that's really the subtle difference between the two. But, developing a strategic plan is also, it's a process. It's not just the end result, although we use it day in and day out once it's finished. But it's the process of everybody talking about what the library means to them and what they want to get out of it, and what they want to accomplish, the staff and the board, all together having that conversation. So it's like a regeneration and a refresh of what's similar to what went before, but new enough that it gives us all a little bit of a little more step in our work every day.
Thank you. And on the report, it's stated that up to 1997, the library received development charges for updating PCs and technology-related items, and because we don't anymore, we're encouraged to put in from the operating budget into the reserves, to put in those reserves to account for updating the technology in PC.
Mm-hmm.
So when is our next PC or technology refresh cycle? From your presentation, it seems like it's going to be a gradual refresh, or is it going to be one certain year that everything's going to happen?
I'm paraphrasing what our manager of IT said at the board meeting last week, but our next refresh may be completely different from what we're doing now. We might have much less reliance on hardware, and we may be putting much more of our data in the cloud. So how it will look, I'm not sure, and when it will happen, I'm not sure. It will be at the point where the decision is made that our data is secure in the cloud, and maybe more secure than we have it now, and that we can provide the service that we continue to want to provide. So, we do have a capital budget for our equipment that's separate from, as you said, from DC funding, which is not it's not eligible anymore. So we just build that until the point where we have to make a commitment. But our costs are really more software. Those are our main technology expenses year over year.
Okay. And last question. The library, as many will know, it's going to do a renovation or an expansion as the community grows in numbers. Will the capital reserves be sufficient to fund the expansion, or can the town be expected to get a funding ask in the next year or so?
I don't know if we have enough. I would suspect the answer is probably no, because things always cost more than you think they're going to cost. But we also have an application with the town for Trillium funding, so we have a few other options that we're waiting to hear about. So once we know what our other options are and what we can do for the amount that we have, there may be there may be some further requests, but at this point in time, it's too premature for me to say.
Great. Thank you, Jill and staff, for a great job. Thank you.
Councillor Carter.
Thank you for a wonderful presentation. Thank you. How long did you have to practice that?
Probably not enough.
No, I think it was perfect. Most of my points have been directed at you already. It's interesting to hear the library say that we're going to be a technology hub for the future. It's quite a change. So for all of the public who are listening, could you please talk about that a bit?
We feel that the ability to be comfortable and adapt with technology as it changes and evolves is important for citizens. And there's really no outlet for most citizens to maintain that kind of technology literacy. So we feel that's an important role that the library can play, that everyone who wants to be more technologically savvy can be through us. We've been doing some learn to code sessions with children, and now we've expanded it to their parents and the child, and they're doing it together. So moms are coming in and learning to code with their children. We see that kind of service as something we want to expand, so that people look to the library as a place they can come, not just to learn to read and to write, or to practice reading and practice writing, but to actually practice how to be computer literate as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Gardner. Jill, thank you very much for presentation, and thank you to the members of your staff and board that came out with you. I think your biggest success, in my opinion, for the 2016 years was your outreach program. I thought that went extremely well because I think I saw Risha almost everywhere in town.
Yes, yes.
But I thought it was great having you at the Tech Expo for the Chamber, as an example, having you weekly, and I think almost weekly at the farmers market in the park. So I think it was a great, and I hope it was successful from your point of view.
Yes, yes, I think it was. I think it was. We
That's
get
great.
good feedback.
Super. So thank you very much for coming. Really appreciate it. If there's no further comments or questions on the item, I will ask for a vote. All in favor, please? Contrary? That is carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your
Appreciate you
Worship.
coming out.
Thank you.
Next up, we have the Cultural Center with their 2017 operating budget, and I believe Craig is going to do the presentation. I have to keep some consistency here. Oh, no. Just Craig and Laura.
You can sit there. Mr. Mayor, members of council, thank you very much for this opportunity to appear before you tonight in support of our budget request for 2017. My name is Craig Mather. I'm the current president of the Aurora Cultural Center. I will be making a few comments, and then our executive director, Laura Schembri, will provide a more detailed overview of our 2016 accomplishments and our budget for 2017. For your information, the budget that Laura will present tonight has been reviewed in detail and approved by our board of directors at our last meeting in early November. Sitting with us tonight in support of me as the rookie president is our former president and now secretary, Bonnie Kraft, and our current vice president, Eric Acker. When thinking about what I might say tonight, it occurred to me that our budget request for 2017 is really on behalf of several different groups. Officially, I'm here on behalf of 12 very hardworking and dedicated directors, including our two councilors, Councillor Humphreys and Councillor Tom, all of whom give generously of their time and talent to ensure the center is and will continue to be the best it can be in terms of product, financial accountability, and good governance. However, I think I'm also here on the behalf of our very small staff of 6 who work tirelessly to make the Cultural Center a successful and vibrant venue for the citizens of Aurora, and through their hard work continue to exceed the 12 KPIs set for us in our agreement. I think I'm also here on the behalf of the people who made more than 30,000 visits to the center this year, which is up again from last year, who enjoy the many cultural and educational events and programs offered by the center, This growth in our visitation illustrates we are meeting a need in the community, and our expectation is our visits will continue to grow in 2017. I want to emphasize that both the board and the staff understand that the financial support the town provides does come from the taxpayer, and I can assure you we do not take this support for granted or lightly. We work every day to make sure these dollars are spent wisely and transparently. My last and perhaps most important point is although we do need your financial support, we also need your moral support. The board and staff very much want you to be proud of what you have created, to be proud of what we offer, and to see the center as an important asset to the town and its residents. And we really want you to be able to brag about what we have accomplished together. You have shown this support in the past, and we are asking tonight for your continued financial support by approving the recommendation before you with respect to our grant request for 2017 in the amount of $405,600. I will now ask Laura to run through a more detailed presentation. Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Daw, members of council, staff, and guests in the chamber this evening. So I am the executive director of the Aurora Cultural Center, and it's my pleasure to stand before you one more time and tell you about some of the successes that the center has had in 2016 and our plans for an exciting 2017. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we do. I'm going to demonstrate how we're an engaged partner with the town. We'll talk about 2017 new initiatives, 2017 pressures, and our 2017 operating budget. Some of you have seen this illustration before, but there are actually some new items added to it. The center blue is our main area of operations, which is programming. Family events, programs for all ages, art galleries, concerts, heritage programs, instructional programs, lectures, educational, community events, multicultural, and an artisan gift shop. Outside that ring is another area of our focus, which is fundraising. That includes corporate sponsorship, friends of the center, non-town grants and donations. And then the outer ring is our community facility rentals, very much entwined with our marketing, with our programming, and the funds received through that operation is in support of our programs. In programming, we have family events for all ages, child and youth activities, instructional arts programs, concerts, multicultural events, art exhibitions, heritage, and community rentals. This summer in 2016, we had 360 summer junior artists participate at the center. One of the benefits of having an art camp in the cultural center is that we have our professional art galleries, and these young children are brought into the galleries to look at the exhibitions. And one of the questions we ask is, how does this piece make you feel? And this is a true quote. The little fellow with his hand up, "This art makes me feel no worries." 2016 highlights for programming. We ran 54 instructional art classes for all ages. We presented 14 musical concerts in a variety of genres. We mounted 10 exhibitions of art and provided 222 artists with the opportunity to hang their art in the galleries. We had 16 local artists who were promoted in our gallery gift shop. We participated and drove 2 local artisan pop-up events. And we provided 7 free community events to the community, and we were able to do the community events at only a cost of the free community events at only a cost of $1,500. And that was achieved through donations, sponsorships, and volunteers. Youth activities for 2016. Of course, we have our annual high school art shows. We have children and youth art classes. We increased our size and length of our summer art camps. We've mentored 5 educational co-op students. We've provided placement and mentoring for a university arts administration student. And we have sustained and engaged youth and adult, but in this area, a youth volunteer corps. We do have youthful creativity that pops up in every corner of the center, and we're not always sure exactly when it's going to happen. This is downstairs in our Messy Art space with our Messy Art Camp, and that is an arts student counselor under the little girl's lap there. For music in 2016, we did present 14 concerts, classical, world music, indie, folk, jazz. We had holiday themes. We offer music instruction, and we provide live music at various events. And here, in the photograph, we have 2 artists from Brazil who came and performed specifically for our audiences here in Brazilian classical guitar. Our musicians and audiences tell us that they love our intimate venue. We are a desired space to perform and to experience musical concerts. We are a place of multicultural happenings. We have welcomed 170 new citizens to Aurora through the Cultural Access Pass, and we partner with the Ministry of, just one second here, the Institute for Canadian Citizenship, and we offer a warm welcome to Aurora and to the Aurora Cultural Centre. And we have a really wonderful opportunity to meet newcomers. You see the Ramadan fast-breaking iftar dinner that we've now had for 3 years. It was the first in York Region. Fête de Saint Jean de Baptiste Day, where we sponsor with La Free. And here in the bottom corner is Brazilian people who have enjoyed the Brazilian music at the concert. We are a place that is an art hub. We have gallery talks, demos, instructional classes, opening receptions, and due to the popularity, we have extended our gallery hours into Wednesday evenings. And we find that we've become a destination for artists to gather. And that's a little, an indication to us of beginning to mature. 263 plus adults took instructional classes with us, 400 children and youth. In the area of heritage, we have the community as curator, where the community brings in their artifacts, heritage art exhibitions, and history tours. And here I see my colleague Erica, who is one of the partners in one of the presentations with your Historical Society in the community as curator. And on the left, our summer student, Lauren, is giving a history tour of the history of the building to our MP, Leona Alislev. Volunteers are key to making all this happen, and you've heard that we have a small staff, and we could not do this without our volunteers. So 4,233 volunteer hours were donated. This is 2015 because our volunteers are still working for us in 2016, and I have not been able to calculate the hours just yet. But it's a significant amount. So the red piece of the pie is the volunteer hours, and it's greater than 2 full-time staff employees that assist with us at the center. And the volunteers contribute, and I think you can see by looking at this photograph, it's all ages. So we have, retired women on the left working with young children. We have 2 high school students with a member of our staff. For Doors Open, we have young people. And on the right, young at heart, helping with our events. Our board of directors investing time, talent, and treasure in Aurora. We had an all-day strategic planning session on Sunday, and had the entire board of directors there, and it was my hope to take a photograph that day. And we were so busy working, we actually didn't have the time to take a photograph. So this is not a current picture, but some of those people are still with us. But nevertheless, our board of directors are 10 residents of Aurora, our 2 wonderful counselors, and really a tremendous amount of effort and time and loyalty, and taking the governance of the center very, very seriously. And staff are very grateful to the oversight and governance that they do provide to us. 2016 trending, we expect to be over 32,000 visits. Governance, accountability, and transparency. This is a key to the Cultural Center's success. We take this very seriously, and we're very happy to participate in all levels of reporting. So we report to all levels of the government. We have an external third-party audit. We maintain Imagine Canada standards and our accreditation. Our documents are widely available to the public on the center's website. We report quarterly to the town of Aurora. We have the 10 residents on the board and our 2 councillors. From 2010 to 2016, we have earned over $1.5 million, derived mostly from programming revenue. Our fundraising is at over $320,000 raised. We are also, I'm sure you'll see synergies between all 3 of the organizations that are presenting this evening about outreach, connecting with our community, valuing community input. And we are as well listening to our community, and the community's told us they want student art exhibitions. They want us to participate with the co-op program for students. They want to join us for Family Day and March break activities. They want to participate in multicultural programs. They enjoy and come out in large numbers to Doors Open and Culture Days. They requested longer camps. They've requested more one-day adult workshops. They want lots of music. And I've asked for professional kids' theater performances. And you'll see just from these photos, this is on the right, this was Duffel Bag Theater's professional performance this summer of Cinderella. And here I am speaking with the students of St. Max. And in responding to the community, we have provided the gallery openings community as curator. Our artist open studio, live music, community sing-alongs, extended our hours, and we've had so many questions about the history of the building that you have gifted to us, that we have put some significant time and resources into documenting that and making that available to the people who come through the building. We have an emphasis on purchasing local, and with the rationale of supporting the economy, the local economy. So wherever possible, we do purchase local, and you'll see that that is almost everything that we do. And we do know that that has an impact right down to the local corner dry cleaners who does all our tablecloths and events now. We also have an emphasis on hiring local. And 6 of our staff are residents of Aurora, and this summer we hired 5 summer students from Aurora who worked in their field of study in their hometown. This are 4 of our summer students that were leading the arts program and a selection of campers. We also take seriously promoting the recognition of Aurora beyond our borders. We advertise to the GTA and beyond. We have had the 400 series highway signs up now for 5 years and expect to continue that. Our events do draw people from Mississauga to Lake Simcoe, and we take serious promoting the town's brand outside of the center, and we truly believe that our success is your success. We also promote recognition of the town of Aurora at home, and we make a public acknowledgement of the town of Aurora at all our events. There's prominent signage of the town's brand throughout the center. We regularly reiterate that residents have yet another reason to play at home because of the town's support for culture. And the Town of Aurora brand is on all our marketing materials, our website, and our 3 social media platforms. We are serious about supporting the Town of Aurora's cultural master plan. We are supporting the creative economy, addressing the growing cultural diversity of the community, increasing awareness of cultural resources, responding to the needs of youth, and addressing the needs of and interests of seniors through the lens of culture. So, sort of all generations here. This is a day Mayor Daw might remember. These are the students from St. Max who did a student donation that with the request that because we showed their art in our galleries, that this money go to provide families in need with free placements to summer arts camp. So when they donated, they have the students and the teacher there. We linked up with Big Brothers Big Sisters, and there's the CEO there. And we were able to find, be able to have 6 children come to our camps that otherwise wouldn't have. And we encouraged the students to come and speak to council, and they very much enjoyed having a photo opportunity with our mayor. So, music and art and youth in the galleries. Singers at our community sing-alongs, singing for the joy of singing. Nobody's professional here, it's just singing for the joy of it. And here we are with Wonderful Legion. We heard the chamber speak about that today. So that will give you an idea of what we have accomplished in 2016. 2017 pressures, we've only identified 2. I mean, they're fairly big, but there's 2 of them. And you'll see this reflected in our budget. So we'll be, one of our pressures is maintaining the core staff complement necessary to provide programming levels at the current level, the cost of which is no longer covered by the Town of Aurora operating grant. So we have to mitigate that through our own revenues, and it's something that it was a first last year as well, and we've managed that. But it is requires some creativity and planning around that. And also the wonderful 3-year Ontario Trillium Foundation grant that we have received is sadly coming to an end in June 2017. And with that will be the loss of the full-time position who was dedicated to fundraising efforts. And not just that, but was an integral member of our team at all our events and answering the phone and taking registrations. And so this is also reflected in the budget. So our operating budget for 2017, here it is. If it's, you do have it in your package as well. And if you just continue to look at the budget, I'll walk you through it. So what you'll see that we have is on the far left corner, or far left column, is the 2016 budget. And I've provided our year-end estimate for you based on end of October figures for us. So The Town of Aurora grant did come in at 7% less than our target, which you see on the left-hand side. However, our programming revenue, we expect to be 8% greater than our target. Our fundraising continues to be a challenge, and while our number will be greater than our achievement in 2015, it will be 28% less than our target. And our OTF grant is declining annually, so that is reflected in grants. So overall, our budget is of revenue for 2016 year end. We expect to come in 6% less than our target, which has actually been quite a great achievement for us, considering that we were started off 7% less than we'd anticipated. So we've been able to mitigate that through increasing our program revenue. Our year-end expenses, we've done really, staff have done an amazing job watching the expenses. And this is a charity mindset, comes in very helpful for this perspective. So we expect that our program expense will be 12% under budget. Our professional fees will be 8% under budget. Our fundraising, 7% under budget. Our other expenses, which is our office expenses, will have come in 7% under budget. So we've worked really, really hard to do that. And so our total expense overall, we expect to come in 3% under our expense budget. So this will leave us this year with a net of approximately $19,000 on a target of originally a zero balance budget. This will be financed through the center's reserves. And I'll move you along now to the reserves. These reserves are the 2015 numbers. So we have $66,000 in the Classical Music Fund. That is really a sole donor who has been supporting over the years to help us build this up. Our contingency fund right now remains at $120,000, and our special project fund at $20,000. So our $19,000 deficits or thereabout will come out of the 120. 2017 budget highlights. We were grateful and pleased to receive an additional $10,000 last year through the efforts of council, and I realize that you did have to go back and really have some discussions around that. We were grateful to receive that. That brought the funds that we received up to $403,900. However, the grant was $390. That $403,900. Thank you, Jason. So for our 2017 budget, the Town of Aurora grant is in our coffers an increase over what we received last year of not quite 0.5%. So that has been something that we've been aware of and have mitigated and worked our budget around that piece. So we are grateful to receive your funding this year. We also are grateful at the process that allowed us to come to this so that we could create a budget for you and for us that we can make work, and we had the time to do that, and we had the time to discuss. Met with Al Downey and our councillors as well. So we are targeting a 14% increase in program revenue. We are hoping and working hard and believe we can maintain the 2016 fundraising revenue target despite the loss of one full-time staff in that area, because we have a lot of irons in the fire right now, and fundraising is relationship building, and that is generally done over time. Our fundraising revenue, our OTF grant will be 65% of funds coming into our revenue stream less than we received last year. So our revenue will be 22% less than our budget last year, and for the reasons that I have stated here. In our expense, you'll see that we're continuing to sharpen our pencil, and in our program expense, we will reduce by 18%. Professional fees, we are reducing by 19%. There'll be no increase in our fundraising expense, and we are going to further reduce our other expenses by 14%. So overall, we have a 9% overall reductions to present to you a zero balance budget. 2010-2016 dashboard. This is just for a comparison, and I hope that this gives you a confidence in how we are growing, and based on this trend, we fully expect this to continue. So in 2010, the revenue achieved from the Town of Aurora operating grant was, of course, 90% of our revenue. This year, it will be 57% of our revenue. Our total earned revenues in 2010, pulling out the grant from the town, was $38,698. And in 2016, we expect this to have grown by 805% over these 6 years to $350,000 and change. So that is impressive growth that we predict to continue. Our earned revenues strictly from programs, so this is really our community engagement piece, has grown from $25,000 to, we expect, about just over $187,000, so that's a 622% growth. Our new initiatives for 2017. New for 2017, we are going to launch a town-wide youth curation art committee. This will be a cross-school initiative to bring students interested in art from all the schools together rather than separating them as has sort of naturally happened in the past. We're looking forward to a partnership with the Aurora Historical Society to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the Battle of Vimy Ridge. The board is working very hard on our new strategic plan, and we'll complete that. We'll put that into action, and that will guide us through the next 3 years. We will be beginning a new summer youth program upstairs in Brevic Hall that will run concurrent with our art program downstairs in the Pine Tree Potters activity room. And we're going to be celebrating Canada's 150th birthday all year long. We've already developed our hashtag, so it's hashtag 150 and inspired. And that we're starting to use that now as we begin to promote some of our celebrations for next year. And much as the library did, the photos, again, we do believe that the photos are they're really the proof of where the funding goes. And you can see here there's quite a lot of diversity in age and activity represented here. So we do gratefully acknowledge your continued support. It's been long-standing. We could not operate without your continued support. Everything that we do is because of you, and we look forward to continuing our partnership. We look forward to working with Mr. Nadarowski, Rosny, for our, through Councillor Kim's review of the delivery of cultural services. We're on board for all of that, and participating with the town in all the various studies and events that are coming up. So we look forward to sitting at the table with you. So thank you for your support.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you very much for the presentation. If I could ask Councillors Humphrey and Tom to put this on the floor, being our representatives on the board. Comments or questions for Laura, please? Councillor Maracas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Laura. Laura, thank you very much for coming, and Craig and the rest of the board. And just in case you didn't notice, I do believe you have another board member, former Councillor John Gallows, in the crowd too. So maybe you just didn't see him come in. You mentioned everyone else. I just thought maybe, so I just thought I'd throw that out there. Thank you for all the hard work that you guys do. It's incredible what you guys do with I guess, in essence, how little you have. And it's great to see that the numbers have been increasing. So that's good to see. And I'm fully aware of a lot of the programming that you do. My wife partakes in some of the things. She was just at the wreath,
Yes.
building the wreath and the snow globes. So I want to thank the Cultural Center for all the glitter that I have every time I open my door, and snow globes on every counter now. That's going to be coming up. So, but on a little bit more serious note, back in February, we held a working group for our municipal summit, and we brought in elected officials from right across the province, and they came and we had that meeting at the Cultural Center. And it was quite amazing to hear the comments from everyone. They were from Welland, from Niagara Falls, Cambridge, Kitchener, and the comments were like, this is a stunning building, it's beautiful, it's amazing, such history. And so I guess I just wanted to throw out that it is such an amazing building, and it is such a historical building, and it is one of those anchors within that area, along with the library. And I think that with the work that we have coming up with the cultural precinct, I think it's some exciting times for the area, and I think we're all looking forward to transforming that area into something even more. And I think that the Cultural Center is a big anchor to that, and just like I said, I'm looking forward to moving forward and creating something for this town that would be truly spectacular. So thank you for all your hard work, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Humphries.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and we sit on the board, so we're a little biased, but I do want to say what's been great for me personally sitting on the board is getting closer to the center and understanding the programming and the uniqueness of the center. And for me, you mentioned earlier, Craig mentioned it earlier, our president, in terms of being proud of what you and the board are delivering and the staff that you have, the little staff that you have. And I'm absolutely ecstatic what we give and what we get back in return, and the quality of programming in the center. So I'm thrilled, for what is being delivered. I know it's only going to get bigger and better. Yesterday there was a strategic plan. Unfortunately, I could not be there for almost any of it, but I know it's in great hands with the board here today, and former Councillor Gallo and everyone that was there spending a Sunday to work hard on that and to really make some of the future initiatives come to fruition even better than probably imagined. Yes. And one of the really cool things, Councillor Maracas mentioned how the cultural precinct is probably going to impact even more the vitality and vibrancy of downtown Aurora and what's happening at the Cultural Center, and the fact that the subway is going to be running in the near future frequently. So I could see absolutely being a destination for Toronto area people who are around our just say, I'm going to come and see that great show, or the guitarist, the classic guitar, or whatever. There's so much going on. So I just want to thank you very much. A lot of hard work. Most of this I know, but again, I think there was, I don't remember, but I know I had a question. I'll probably remember when I hear again, but thank you very much for coming. Well done, Craig, in your entry, and to Laura, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Humphries. Councillor Thompson, Councillor Kim.
Thank you, Laura, for coming out, and similar to the comments of others, we are appreciative of the efforts of the staff, the volunteers, and everyone associated with the Cultural Center. I wanted to touch upon a comment you made when you were giving your presentation about, although you didn't reach your fundraising target this year, you know, you still talked about the fact that it was increased year over year,
Yes.
but that there's still a lot of challenges. Can you sort of expand on what those challenges are that you're currently experiencing in terms of fundraising efforts?
Yes, we have two large challenges. One is that we're in a town with a smaller population with a lot of worthy groups seeking funding, and so it's a very active town with a lot of amazing grassroots organizations that require and seek sponsorship, and so we are one of the many, and also with having an amazing hospital nearby and in the economy, you know, when you have just funds and you have to allocate where they're going to go, that we become part of an equation there that makes the delivery of cultural services perhaps less important in some people's mindset than the hospital. And so that's just the reality. And the other piece is that we're still new. And, you know, we don't have the long track record of we're getting better and we're being able to articulate our track record better, but it's still only 6 years old. And to invest significant funds, you know, people have to get to know us a little bit better in some cases. And awareness is one of our challenges that we are tackling head on with our strategic plan. And I think that if we can improve the awareness of the cultural center, the fundraising will follow.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillors Kim, Gardner, and Abel.
Thank you, Mayor Dahl. And thank you, Laura, for a great presentation. I'm surprised that you got through it without having to drink any water. You know, I really appreciate, you know, when the cultural center arrives with the presentation, I'm always impressed with the level of detail and line items that you guys put out there for our benefit and to analyze, so we appreciate that. You know, I just have one fond memory when I used to do fundraising for a year at one charitable organization. I had a meeting with an executive at a company and another, and I happened to run across another fundraiser for another charitable organization, and he was asking for the address, and I, sure enough, sent him to the next block down the street. Helped me out a bit. Well, it's fresh in my mind regarding the fundraising effort. It's unfortunate that the third year is completed for the fundraising person. Can you break down in terms of in those 3 years, how much fundraising dollars actually could be attributed to that individual? Doesn't have to be exact; just the ballpark would be fine.
I have financial statements as of December 31st, 2015. So there's been steady growth. It's just not been as big as we'd hoped for. So 2014, we raised $46,600. 2015, $57,700. And we are forecasting $62,000 this year, approximately.
Okay, so that's roughly just a little bit more than what the fundraiser received in compensation then?
Quite a bit, yeah,
Okay.
more, yes.
If the town were to provide funding for another year or two, hypothetically, for the fundraiser to continue on, would you allocate the funds in that way, or would you still move forward with vacating this role and moving forward with another fundraising plan?
If the town were to provide us with funding, we would never stop what we're doing, and so we would be very grateful for that. And I understand, though, what your question is, and that would require a discussion at the board level where we would allocate those funds, but fundraising is an important aspect of what we do. It is the wild card of what we do. However, if we did have another position, I'm speaking as myself without the guidance of the directors here, but I could see a position that would do two things for us. One is fundraising, and the other would be the outreach. And they would work hand in hand because we have to go out more. We have to have the ability to go out more to raise funds. And at the same time, we would be better understanding our community and being able to take that feedback back, much as the library is doing.
Yes, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. And you know, I'm a, you know, each year I become more of a supporter of the Cultural Center. I know, you know, a few years ago when I first arrived in Aurora and I stepped foot in the building, I thought it was an art gallery, or, you know, just, you know, you see the, you know, the wonderful paintings, and that was the scope, the limitations of what I could think about at the time. But, you know, this year, you know, with more information and having frequented the ACC a lot more, it's not just a display of art. You see a display of cultures, you know, in terms of, you know, the activities with celebrating the end of Ramadan and the Chinese, I think it was artwork or fashion or something like that. But there was more to the ACC than what I originally thought many years ago. I think one of the biggest challenges for the ACC is, I think in our discussion you had mentioned as well, is just a lack of visibility, because it's kind of tucked away in the cultural precinct, and some of the newer residents aren't even aware that it's there. And I think that's a big challenge, is just it being there. And I think, you know, I certainly hope that the town, that we can, you know, I use the word partner, and be able to use some of the town billboards